Greetings, everyone. Greetings. And welcome to Progressive Discussions. This happens to be the 114th, I believe, unless I'm wrong, but I believe 99.9999%, 999, that it is the 114th volume of Progressive Discussions. I am your host for Progressive Discussions, James Piranha Madonna of Mega Life 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet. I am here at the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey, and I am here with my co-host and mentor, the one and only, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, who unfortunately had an injury last week, and that is why we could not do a new Progressive Discussions on Saturday like we normally do. So now we're doing it because he was hurt last week, but he's coming along fine. He's recovering.
You're on the mend.
You're on the mend. You're doing all right? You feel okay?
Yeah. Sure.
All right. So now we're doing it today, Wednesday, March the 11th.
March? April.
I'm sorry, April.
April.
Let me start this again. Now we are doing it, because we couldn't do it last Saturday, April, I repeat, April 11th, Wednesday, April 11th, 2012, happens to be today, right now.
No.
It's not? April 11th, 2012? It's not the 11th, it's Wednesday.
It's the 11th.
This guy's
Who the hell knows what day
Wait
it is?
a minute, man. What do you mean, no? It's Wednesday.
You said 12.
No, I said 2012.
Oh, 2012.
2012.
It's the 11th.
So
April 11, 2012.
So,
okay.
So people that watch this video in the near and possibly distant future, like maybe in the distant future, like Futurama, over the year 3000, people will stumble upon these videos.
They'll not have anything to play them back.
And our brains will be probably at that time.
Telepathy.
The way science is progressing, our brains would be in android robots or something, humanoid androids.
Pure energy.
Pure. That's what we are. Pure energy.
Pure energy.
And with this new spirulina I'm taking from Swanson Vitamins via Earthrise, I have all of a sudden I feel a burst of energy, mental alertness, and vitality. More than any multivitamin has ever provided me. Isn't that something? Let me start off by sending my condolences. Here at Newsletter Censored, we want to send our condolences to the close friends and family of a professional wrestling Hall of Famer who passed away very recently. Chief Jay Strongbow died. I used to watch him as a child from the old Worldwide Wrestling Federation,
yes.
And he wrestled in the NWA. Jim Crockett Promotions, he wrestled on the Olympic. I seen him the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles, NWA. Long-time legend, Chief Jay Strongbow. His real name is, I believe, Joe Scarpa, born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we send our condolences. May he rest in peace.
Also, Earl Scruggs.
Was born in Philly?
No, died.
Earl Scruggs?
Earl Scruggs, Flatton Scruggs, yes.
Country Western
wrote the
legend?
Let me tell you about a story about a man named Jed.
Did he sing it?
Kept his family fed.
Did he sing it, or did Buddy Epson sing it?
He wrote it.
He wrote the Beverly Hillbillies theme?
Correct.
Okay. Any more famous deaths?
Probably, I don't know.
I can't remember. Chief Jay Strongbow and a country western legend, Earl Scruggs. I salute you with my Blackthorn weapons grade shillelagh imported from Ireland. I salute you. Rest in peace. Which is, I wave it around to emphasize certain things. Okay, see, I got the 4-leaf clovers. Well, the metallic 4-leaf clovers on both sides for added good luck. All right, now, I enjoy waving it around. It helps me emphasize things. I seen David Letterman using a pencil as a prop like Johnny Carson used to. You know what? This is so much more classier and and fascinating than a friggin' cheap pencil. Letterman and Carson waved the pencil around. I got a Blackthorn Irish shillelagh, weapons grade, the kind that the British outlawed hundreds of years ago. All right, now, take that, put that in your peace pipe and smoke it, jabronis. All right, let me begin. I also would like to say, get well soon to a good friend of mine, and also the foremost authority and expert, in the United States on Indian and Persian club swinging, circular strength training, Mr. Richard Army McGuire, who is recovering right now from detached retina surgery. He had a detached retina, and I wish him well. I wish him a speedy recovery. Mr. Richard Army McGuire. His videos can be seen on the internet, and he has a website, I believe, called agelessstrength.com. He does feats of strength at his age. He's middle-aged, you know, like us.
How did he get the detached retina?
I don't know. He didn't tell me. He just says he's recovering. So I wish him a speedy recovery. I salute and dedicate this show to Indian Chief J. Strongbow, Earl Scruggs, and Richard Army McGuire. Okay, recover soon. Ever since I saluted the New York Giants before their big game and they won the Super Bowl, I felt that the shillelagh brings luck. You know, maybe the luck of the leprechauns or something. I'm not Irish, but I like this thing. Okay, here we go. A gentleman on...
Why don't you start with your number one...
I'm almost done.
Yeah, but he's gone. Don't you have anything to say about
that? You're talking about...
Yes, I am.
All right. If you notice, listeners, that I'm not holding up the Rick Santorum photo of him being in a straitjacket, because Rick Santorum, he didn't use the word quit. He used suspend. He suspended himself. He suspended his campaign because his daughter is in a hospital. She has a genetic affliction, disease of some sorts, and she's been in a hospital this past week. So because of his daughter, this is what he says, because of his daughter, he is suspending his campaign after all the money he spent and after all the hard work and traveling. He has decided to do that. Now, of course, Mitt Romney, the guy that likes to tie his pets to the roof of the car and drive for many hours, you know, I think it was an Irish setter. Mitt Romney is beating the pants off of Rick Santorum. Maybe he's using his daughter as an excuse to quit. I don't care, because I can't stand any of them. They're all conservative right-wing Republicans. The only one that I actually like, and I hope he runs as an independent, maybe under the Reform Party, is Ron Paul. And I hope he does run, because he has some virtues. He makes some good points. Some.
That's why he doesn't appear in the Republicans.
That's why
That's why nobody takes notice of him, because he has a couple of good points.
Because he's not a 100% dyed-in-the-wool,
in lockstep Republican.
Lockstep, mean-spirited, corporatist Republican, so they're not paying attention to Ron Paul.
Correct.
Okay, so Ron Paul, I hope you stick with it, and at least we'll have a member representing the independent candidate, an independent candidate representing an independent party in the polls. At least we'll have somebody. There are others. There's somebody named Rocky Anderson that Gary Null talks about.
Jill Stein, Dr. Bill.
That's right, the Reverend Dr. William J.
Four other ones.
Eisenman is running as an independent progressive liberal, but you got to write him in. Okay, now, a gentleman on YouTube had a question. He posted it under one of our videos. His name is Tony Two-Tone from Totowa, New Jersey. Actually,
Tony Two-Tone from Totowa.
Try to say that real fast.
Tony Two-Tone from Totowa. Tony Two-Tone from Totowa. I'm Chinese, Japanese.
You sound like a friggin'. You sound like Joe Jitsu.
Yeah.
From the Dick Tracy
Tony
cartoon.
Two-Tone from Totowa.
Sound like a retard. Stop doing that. All right, Mr. Tony Two-Tone from Totowa, which has a nice ring to it, asked the question. Totowa, New Jersey. It's in Passaic County. He asked if we agree, and also what is our take on the subject, if we agree that illegal immigrants are creating and are the cause of the lack of jobs in America. Are they taking all our jobs? I'm going to let Reverend Bill start, and then I'm going to finish.
That's a Republican talking point. Immigrants take some jobs. But how do you account for the jobs that were gone under G.W. Bush? Millions of jobs were gone and then were not created. These are not immigrant jobs.
No.
So this is just one of those false flag things the Republicans do. They point at something. Get your sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand, like a magician. They're trying to deflect you from the real cause of the bad economy.
Remember, Republicans don't like blacks, they don't like women, and they don't like immigrants.
They don't like
Latinos.
They don't like people of color.
That's
They don't.
correct.
They don't like gays. They only like minorities when they work cheap, like
immigrants,
like below minimum rate, like below minimum wage, or for free as a slave. Then they like you. Like they like illegal Mexican immigrants crossing the border only if they can employ them and they can work
in their gardens, in their yards.
For pennies. Yeah, landscaping their mansions, cleaning their houses, cooking for them, wiping their ass, or whatever degrading thing they want them to do. They like the illegal immigrant when the person can work cheap or for free. Right. But other than that, they don't like them. But they like them if they can make money off them and exploit them. Now, if the illegal immigrants wouldn't be coming to the United States and crossing the border and working here if there was not a demand for the illegal immigrant and a reason for them to come here. They're coming here because greedy, miserable corporate America, American business owners, American employers are hiring these illegal immigrants, probably off the books, paying them off the books with no benefits, paying them dirt cheap, most likely less than minimum wage, probably a lot less than minimum wage, and doing it in a sneaky way against the law, getting away with it. That is the demand. See, the whole thing about the job market is, Dr. Bill, the Reverend Dr. Bill told me, is demand. Demand creates jobs in America. And the demand in this case with illegal immigrants, Tony Two-Tone, is that these scumbags, these greedy scumbag corporate American CEOs with their conservative Republican supporters, they are hiring the illegal immigrants. That's why they're coming here. What the government needs to do, if the progressive Democrats get control again of the government, is they need to discourage outsourcing of American jobs and make the rich pay their fair share in taxes and take on the tax burden once again, like they did during Eisenhower and Truman Eisenhower, the 91% tax rate, discourage the offshore mailboxes, and when the corporations choose to outsource American jobs, when they bring their product back to the United States to sell it, they should be tariffed the hell out of. They should tariff the hell out of these products that are produced in third world countries and being brought back to the United States to be sold to Americans. These are American jobs that should not be outsourced. This is the free trade that you were talking about in your newsletter.
Free trade, globalization, laissez-faire. It's the whole gaggle.
They want to create a corporate plutocracy and enslave the little guy and kill off the poor. And that is my next subject. So Tony Two-Tone, I hope we have clarified our position on illegal immigration.
But
they're poor people that are in this country to seek out a better life because they came from poverty, just like immigrants during the turn of the century came to this country and landed on Ellis Island. These people of color from Latin America, let's say, are seeking the same thing that the Caucasian immigrants did at the turn of the century. And there's nothing wrong with people seeking out a better life. And they are simply just trying to survive. And the blame is on the greedy American business owners. They have created the demand. So don't believe the bullshit that you hear from the Republican Party. They're racist, homophobic, they don't like women, they want to enslave the poor, they want to enslave the little guy, they want children from the ghetto, from poor neighborhoods, they want children on welfare to clean toilets and to sweep the floor and work as janitors to pay for their lousy food stamps and their lousy welfare that their mothers get. Big deal.
Their schooling.
And their education. They want to privatize education. Like Chris Christie, the big fat piece of shit. He wants to privatize education and do away with public education, so only the wealthy can afford to send their kids to good schools. The poor won't be educated anymore. Therefore, the poor would work the factories. The poor would work the farms. The poor would work practically for free. And don't forget what Mass Bob said in the show I did with him this week.
Ooh.
He says he knows that the arrests that they've been doing of the poor, you know, they will take the protesters and the Wall Street occupiers, and they will take the people that are poor and desperate, and they will imprison them so they can work for free in prisons. It is an excuse for free labor from corporate America. It is an excuse to acquire slavery again, is to start locking up the poor, locking up the protesters, and making them work for free. This is what's ahead of us. Tony Two-Tone, I hope we were very comprehensively clear on the subject. Now, speaking of the poor and the plight of the poor, before we start with the articles, I was watching the Travel Channel. It was Andrew Zimmer's Bizarre Foods. But he wasn't really, he was eating bizarre foods because there are people that are raising insects as a source of protein for the future, like mealworms, and it's very inexpensive to raise them, and they were saying that many cultures around the world consume insects. But that's not what I'm getting at. There was a segment of showing an organization in San Francisco, a very compassionate organization of volunteers that are not being arrested by the San Francisco police, as opposed to other states where they are arresting them and it's illegal. These people go into dumpsters, which they call dumpster diving, I think, near restaurants. And apparently restaurants are throwing away a very large amount of edible, good food that are not rotten yet. They're just like maybe one step or two steps before being rotten. Like, for instance, a bunch of bananas that gets brown speckles on it is still edible, but the restaurants are throwing it away. So these people are collecting fruits and vegetables, okay, and they are giving it to the homeless, and they're preparing meals outdoors sometimes, weather permitting, on the street, and they're actually cooking and preparing meals and giving this food that they find in restaurant dumpsters to the homeless and the poor, which is a great thing But in some parts of the United States, these people will be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because they're trying to make it they're trying to make it illegal to help the poor and the homeless and have compassion for them. And I think it's horrible that these restaurants are throwing away tremendous amounts of good food nationwide. Could you imagine, Dr. Bill, how much food can be rounded up and collected for the homeless?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine how many restaurants nationwide?
But the priority is not to do that. The priority is profit. So there's your problem.
Well, what about giving tax breaks to restaurant owners who donate?
Why is all these tax breaks going to people who already don't pay their fair share?
No, I'm not talking about the 1%. I'm talking about the small. Well, a restaurant
It
is.
shouldn't be.
The restaurant owner is most likely a small business owner, right? I mean, I don't think they're not a fat cat. They're not an elitist.
Yeah, but the point of it is, the problem is not. That's not the problem. The problem is there should be no starving in America. This is America, the breadbasket of the world.
There should be no starving in America. There should be no veterans living in tents in Florida. There should be no homeless people that had their homes foreclosed because they can't find a job because they got laid off, living in tents in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Yeah.
There should be no people living in tents. There should be no people starving.
Correct.
In supposedly the king of all first world countries.
Christian America.
The king of all first world countries, the supposed Christian, close to God,
Yeah.
the United States of America.
Yeah.
There should be none of this going on.
No.
You understand? But it's funny how the people who hate the poor and minorities and women and gays wave the flag the most and use God's name the most.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about the right-wing fundamentalists,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Any
They sure have made it. They have confiscated those things. Mom, apple pie, and Chevrolet,
So it's a
and the capitalist system.
it's nothing but a propaganda machine, right? It's a propaganda machine.
Well, they've taken over those labels. They own them. They own those labels.
Yeah, and they own the blowhorn. They own
And the blowhorn.
They own the blowhorn. Well, thank God they went after Rush Limbaugh and in Hollywood, the comedians and the celebrities are, most of them, even though they're rich, they seem to be progressive. They're also going after the right wingers and bringing it to the attention. And Gary Noe, got to salute Dr. Gary Noe for his documentaries and his projects that he's involved in, humanitarian projects and his hard-hitting documentaries. So it's not just Michael Moore, it's Dr. Gary Noe. And you can check out his Gary Noe TV on YouTube, as well as his show on the Progressive Radio Network. Start with the articles.
Uh-huh. Critics of eliminating generous tax breaks for oil companies argue
South Park.
that doing so probably would not reduce prices at the pump or increase production.
Okay.
They're probably right about that, but there's more to the story. Federal subsidies for oil companies have outlived their purpose and no longer make sense when the three largest oil companies in the country made about $80 billion in profits last year. Democratic U.S. Senator Robert Menendez tried last week to reduce federal subsidies for oil companies, but his effort failed.
It did?
That's correct. That was a shame. The idea of giving tax breaks to the nation's oil companies dates back to the early 1900s, when the industry was just developing and drilling for oil was expensive and risky. Assisting a fledgling industry was a proper role for government, just as supporting the emerging alternative energy industry through government grants is the right thing to do today. But unlike when tax breaks began in 1916, the oil industry is no longer emerging. Menendez projecting that the 5 biggest oil companies in the nation would make about $1 trillion over the next decade, asked why they collectively still need an estimated $24 billion in federal subsidies. There's no good answer to that question. Rationale for keeping the status quo rests on the premise that the government must cater to a mammoth industry just because it always has done so. That's not very persuasive. Senator Joe Krillos, Republican of Monmouth County in New Jersey, who hopes to run against Menendez this year, supports keeping the subsidy, saying that it's important to increase U.S. oil production. Krillos is right about producing more oil, but that's not the problem. The U.S. Energy Information Administration says that the nation's oil production in 2011 was the highest since 2003.
Yeah.
Some experts predict that the price of gasoline will rise above $4 a gallon by summer. Whether or not that happens, it seems guaranteed that the oil companies will continue to see possibly record levels of revenues and profits.
Oh, isn't that convenient for them?
They don't need a government handout. Menendez had the right idea. Now, do you see what the problem is in America?
Well, first of all, the media doesn't give people like Robert Menendez a chance to explain to the American people what's really going on, getting Democrats and progressives to talk, and people think that it's good to help the oil companies increase profits.
What is that? What is the? Oh, I forget the scriptural reference now that I have on the newsletter there. I think it's number 3.
Yeah, I got it. Hold on.
Number 3. Would you mind reading that out there and
okay.
Then connecting it with this article that we just read?
It is a verse from the Bible. I'm sure there are others. I know there are others, but it's a good one. It proves that God's not too crazy about capitalism.
Giving subsidies to big oil companies.
Capitalism, especially, the right-wing conservative view of capitalism. I'm going to read all of them. He that oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he that gives to the rich, shall surely come to want. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 16.
So are the oil companies rich?
Yes, they are.
And we as a government give to them?
Absolutely.
So we're doing the opposite of what God wants us to do, correct?
Right. And
Thank you.
And these are the close to God Christians that
are doing it.
That the Republicans claim to be. Second verse. He that makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 20. If you're in a hurry to be rich, you won't. It will be.
You've obviously done something wrong.
It will be ill-gotten gain.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one.
This is the one I believe.
As the nail sticks.
No. You missed the one.
No, that's it. There's no more. Now the whole verse.
He who oppresses.
I just said that. He that oppresses the poor. Now the whole verse is in here somewhere. The entire verse.
Near the bottom of the page.
No.
It's on that page there. The first or second. It's the third. Second or third.
I want to read the entire verse.
Let me see it. I think it's on the bottom of the second page.
Of the second page.
I think so.
Of newsletter. This is the new issue of Newsletter Censored. You know what's funny?
It's funny.
If I don't use a highlighting pen marker.
Let me see. I can find it.
I mean, I know it's here, but
of course it's there.
Of course it's there. Here. When you find it, just recite it.
There it is, right there.
All right.
Oh, John.
This one, right?
Right there.
Here? Okay, hold on.
172, Ecclesiastes.
Okay. All right, here we go. As a nail sticks fast between the joining of stones, so does sin stick close to buying and selling. Ecclesiastes chapter 27, verse 2. Verse 2. So that proves that God's not too crazy about capitalism. Is that the free market capitalism or just plain old capitalism?
Plain old capitalism.
Yeah, there you go. So when the manager of the Miami Marlins was making statements that he admired Fidel Castro, Mr. Oswaldo Guillen, Ozzie Guillen, and he caught hell from the U.S. Media and the Cuban Americans in Miami for actually admiring that form of government. He had to apologize. He had to publicly apologize.
Well, actually, I can tell you right off the bat that the gentleman you're talking about understood one form of the government, whilst the critics understood another. That is, they confused his statement on communism, I presume,
yeah,
or socialism.
Yeah, Ozzie Guillen is Venezuelan.
And the other people, the critics, understood what he was saying on the level of totalitarianism, you see. Two totally different things.
Well, Karl Marx definitely meant well, but then the Soviet Union became corrupt, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Everything can be corrupted. Everything has good intentions. I mean, even with George Washington, when they signed the Declaration of Independence, they had very good intentions, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so, but they sort of like forgot about a couple of things, like women and slaves.
Yeah, they said all men are created equal, except for, of course, people of color, according to them. And the Indians were did they look at the Native Americans as being subhuman savages back then?
I wouldn't say back then because it didn't come up.
But they didn't treat the Native Americans very well.
No, they did not. Of course.
They stole everything from the Native American, and in some cases tried to.
Well, remember those first immigrants?
Kill them off.
Remember those first immigrants? I believe they landed at Plymouth Rock.
The Puritans, the right-wing fundamentalists,
Yeah.
religious zealot nut Puritans.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they left England, isn't there?
Yeah.
They left because of persecution. Well, why were they persecuted?
And then they came over here and persecuted.
Maybe they were nuts over there, and people said, "Hey, you people are out of your mind," like Rick Santorum. You people are out of your mind.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So, all right.
The mysterious deaths of millions of bats in the United States and Canada over the past several years
Deflatormouse.
were caused by a fungus that hitchhiked from Europe. Experts had suspected that an invasive species was to blame for the die-off from white nose syndrome.
Fungal infection.
Now there is direct evidence the culprit was not native to North America.
Really?
The fungal illness has not caused widespread deaths among European bats. In North America, more than 5.7 million bats have died since 2006.
Really?
Remember, bats eat insects.
Very important. Bats eat a tremendous amount of insects, including harmful disease-carrying mosquitoes.
Yes, they do.
Mosquitoes, yes. And also, so does this little bird called the purple martin. He's very, eats a lot of mosquitoes and everything. So, you know, you could buy purple martin birdhouses. They look like bird condominiums. Yeah, they do. They do. I don't know where purple martins exist.
Do they have to pay a maintenance fee?
Yeah, they got to pay like a gated
Is
community.
there parking? Is parking included?
Yeah, they park their ass inside the birdhouse. There's little holes. They're small birds.
Yeah, I know.
You know, they're not as small as hummingbirds, but they're small. But anyway, for them to eat mosquitoes, they must be they must be sort of nocturnal, or
come out at dusk.
They must fly around at dusk. I really don't know a lot about purple martins, but I know bats. You can actually make or buy a bat house, and all it is a bird house with the bottom missing. It's a bird house.
Hang upside down.
It's a wooden box, right? It's a wooden box with no hole in the front.
Yeah.
It looks like a birdhouse with no hole in the front, and the bottom is left off. So what happens is and the inside is rough, so their little claws can hang on. And what they do is they go inside, which is dark because there's no holes on any of the four sides, and they hang upside down and they live in there. And you have to hang the bat house at least a good 10 feet or higher, from what I understand, because bats have to fall from a height in order to fly. They cannot take off from the ground like a bird. So if they're on the ground, they have to climb up a tree and then fall. So that's why the bat house has to be at a certain level. And they are very beneficial because they eat lots of harmful insects.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's part of the green movement in one respect. But anyway, getting back to the fungal infection.
Anyway, it was detected in 2006 in New York's Adirondack Mountains.
Adirondack Mountains. That's up by Lake George, Lake Champlain.
The disease does not pose a threat to humans, but people can carry fungal spores. It is unclear exactly how the fungus crossed the Atlantic, but one possibility is that it was accidentally introduced by tourists.
Damn tourists.
Spores are known to stick to people's clothes, boots, and caving gear. White nose syndrome has killed bats in 4 Canadian provinces and 19 U.S. states, mostly in the Northeast.
White nose syndrome
and
the South. And U.S. American politicians in Washington probably have brown nose syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
For kissing corporate ass.
What was that one I couldn't see?
Corporate CEOs and lobbyists.
I missed it. I couldn't see it last night. I received it.
My Persian club swinging is doing well. My pectoralis majors. See?
That GOP slideshow thing.
Woo! Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Part 2 is on the internet.
What was the one where there were 4 gentlemen and each was pooping in the other's mouth?
Oh,
and then the guy on the table gets it pooped in his bowl or something?
Oh, you mean like the human centipede? You know, you could pause when you see a banner or a poster that you like. You can hit the pause button and you can full screen, click on full screen and read it. Oh, we're talking about, there's 2 videos under Megalife 21 called Stop the GOP Greedy Old Party. Greedy Old Party, Part 1 and Part 2. And you could look it up, just go to Google and type that in. And
well, I wasn't sure what that was about.
I have to double check, but I definitely... Oh, and Dr. Bill's collection of watercolor art plus 1 gouache is up there too. Slideshow. I could have left the music off so I can possibly make money off it, but the music sounds so damn good. The Caribbean steel drum music sounded so damn good. I couldn't resist. I had to put it back.
Last week, the illness marched west of the Mississippi River, infecting bats in Missouri.
Okay.
Now that scientists have pinpointed the apparent origin of the epidemic, what can be done to protect the bats? They play a crucial role in the ecological food chain by devouring insects. There is still not much we can do beyond making absolutely sure we don't make things worse by accidentally spreading the fungus.
Right.
A team of U.S. Canadian scientists set out to determine whether the fungus behind white nose syndrome was native to this continent or invaded from abroad. To do this, they collected 54 little brown bats from an uninfected cave in Manitoba.
Manitoba is a province of Canada.
The bats were divided into 3 groups. One group was infected with spores collected from Europe. Another group was sickened with spores from North America. A third group was not infected. Researchers used infrared cameras to monitor the bats' behavior and disease progression over several months. Both infected groups developed symptoms, including the telltale trace of white powder on the nose that gives the disease its name, and scarring on the wings.
I think Winnipeg is the capital of Manitoba. Winnipeg, I think. I know Calgary is Alberta, Canada.
Compared with uninfected bats,
Could be wrong.
infected bats were roused more often from hibernation. This depletes their fat reserves and ultimately leads to death.
So this invasive fungal infection. All right, let me show. Oh, this is what the white nose syndrome looks like.
Yeah.
Let me show it.
Yeah.
Let me show it. Oh, let me show our viewers the photo of the cute little deflator mouse. All right.
Okay.
See it?
Yeah.
Too close? Well, you never know.
You never know
See it?
where those stuff.
It's a lot cuter than showing Rick Santorum, isn't it?
Down a little, I think. Yeah, down.
How's that?
A little bit more.
Down?
Okay.
Like that?
Right about that, I think.
The white nose syndrome, the fungal infection, invasive from Europe that's killing off the insect-eating bats in America,
Down.
in North America.
Down.
Down?
Yeah. Okay.
Like that?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
I like bats. They're cute. Children of the night, like Bela Lugosi used to say.
the night.
Children of the night. I don't drink wine. Remember that? See? All right. Cute. Right? Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Speaking of gotcha or betcha or that moron,
betcha?
that idiot. Hold on. I need my prop.
Here we go.
She was being interviewed
Good morning,
lately
America.
because the U.S. media, they just love her. Hold on. They just love her. I'm talking about Sarah Nalen Palin, the political moron, who's not a bad-looking chickie poo at that, but she's a political moron with a very annoying voice.
She should be blonde.
I call her. I think she was blonde when she won the beauty contest when she was young. But she's extremely annoying. I call her the human slide whistle because her voice it's just very annoying, and it goes up and down, and she doesn't have anything intelligent to say, really. And of course, whatever she says is anti-progressive, liberal, anti-democrat, because people like that do not care at all about the have-nots. But this is what Sarah Nalen Palin sounds like, that I think fooled around on her husband. Is that true? The rumors? Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, jeez.
That's what it's like listening to Sarah Palin. All right? Okay. Good morning, America. Have you heard any of her babbling, bubble-headed booby comments?
No, I wouldn't watch. I'm sleeping.
She's a waste.
I'm sleeping at that time.
She's probably all right in bed, but not as a political leader.
Polar bears are losing their fur.
Yeah, among other things, losing their lives too.
In the past 2 weeks, 9 of 33 bears checked by scientists in the southern Beaufort Sea region near Barrow were found to have alopecia,
Right,
loss of fur, and skin lesions.
right.
3 of 4 bears inspected Thursday near Kaktovik showed the symptoms as well. Scientists have been collecting blood and tissue samples from the afflicted bears, but they do not know the cause or the significance of the outbreak.
Right.
Our data set suggests that this is unusual, but not unprecedented. The USGS has sent polar bear research teams to the area since 1984. The teams track, sedate, and examine the bears to help determine their general health and habits. The team will wind up this year's operations in May, when the sea ice becomes too treacherous for safe travel. We took biopsies in '99 and couldn't establish a causative agent for the hair loss. But now we have this unexplained mortality event going on with seals, and they haven't been successful in figuring out what caused the seal deaths. It is a matter of coincidence, or is it related? We don't know. In December, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration declared an unusual mortality event based on a number of ringed seals hauled out onto beaches on the Arctic coast of Alaska during the summer. Dead and dying seals were found to have hair loss and skin sores.
Interesting.
Affected seals were later observed in Canada and Russia. Don't forget the bears eat seals.
Bears eat seals
Yeah.
because the polar bears are completely carnivorous. They're not omnivorous like black bears. They're very large and they're very predatory and they're dangerous, but they eat seals as well as whatever other creatures, warm-blooded mammals they can get their claws on, their paws on. It could be a small, I don't know, beluga whale or a small walrus or whatever, and they eat the blubber, and the high-fat content of these seals help build the insulation for the polar bears. But what about global warming? If the bears and the seals are suffering from the same alopecia, you think it could be the global warming with increased radiation from the sun?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
They're tracking it.
they're losing their environment due to global warming. But I don't see good things ahead, thanks to the greed of corporations. You can blame that for the demise of the planet Earth. Anyway, you have
One small one here.
and then you're going to take your lunch break.
Yes. This is a very funny headline. To even consider Governor Christie on a national stage is a joke and a contradiction. His lack of self-discipline and lack of tact would be a disaster for us.
Him and Newt Gingrich would make a perfect team. Two fat blowhards.
During his first month in office,
Well, Rush Limbaugh, too.
he would insult at least one of our closest allies. And within 3 months, we would be at war with Canada, England, France, or Germany.
I'm sure Chris Christie does not like the compassionate national health care system of Canada or the European Union. I'm sure
No, he doesn't.
He likes to privatize everything so only the rich can live happy and
That's correct.
healthy.
He's a Republican.
He's a Republican. He's
What do you want?
he's a greedy bastard. Mean-spiritedness.
I write on April Fool's Day, so let us hope it is just a bad joke that he considers himself ready for prime time.
Well, you know, the thing is that the media is giving power to these undesirable political leaders because they're supposed to be public servants, but they're not. The media is giving them face time and attention. And that's how the people, the suckers, the middle class and mainstream Americans that get suckered into voting Republican, that's how they find out about all this conservative propaganda and lies from the U.S. media. So as long as the U.S.
lamestream of media.
So lamestream media. So as long as the media keeps on giving them FaceTime and doesn't approach a Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey or a Frank Lautenberg of New Jersey or any of the other progressive Democrats out there. I would mention Al Franken, but he might be a sellout, man. I'm very disappointed in Senator Al Franken of Minnesota. He was so gung-ho when he was on Air America.
Yep.
Against conservatives, but then he dummied up, like Archie Bunker used to say, as soon as he won the election, right? Nobody hears from Senator Al Franken.
No. Not on anything important, anyway.
I'm going to call him Senator Al Frankenberry after the cereal, because he's a disgrace. You know, all of a sudden he shuts up. Why? Because when the big bucks start waving around, he forgets about his past. He forgets about all the people, he pledged to represent. Unbelievable. Now it's time for the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by high green tea, and we will be back with our promo and progressive discussions. Well, Dr. Bill, I tell you one thing. You're having your lunch. You're having a nice, delicious, lightly breaded chicken breast with a whole wheat, organic, elbow macaroni salad, which is nice. But I noticed that you put some spicy stone ground, high quality mustard on the chicken breast instead of the ketchup. And I noticed the squeeze bottle. Now the good thing about squeeze bottles is that you can squeeze them to extract the ketchup or the mustard. You don't need a spoon. The bad part is after you finish, after the bottle is empty, you can't get at all the extra mustard or ketchup that's on the sides inside the bottle. You have to throw it out. Whereas with the jar, you can get in there with a teaspoon and get all the remaining mustard out.
Yeah.
Oh, that bastard is back.
There you go.
The little punk that deserves to get clotheslined by me, or maybe with my shillelagh, just went by on his motorized scooter. I like to take his head off with my shillelagh for making noise, unwanted noise for our show. Oh, we're back. Gee, I'm sorry. We're back, that's right. You are watching Progressive Discussions, the 114th volume of Progressive Discussions. And while the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is partaking in his gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by high green tea and nutritional
No tea today.
and nutritional supplements. Oh, no tea today?
Vitamin C.
Oh, because of your recovering.
Yeah.
You are still in a recovering phase.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
On the mend.
Yeah, he's on the mend. For those of you that are unaware that my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, got hurt last week. What happened was he tripped and he fell. He gave himself a body slam on his upper back, his scapular region. His foot got caught. He fell down to his knee and kind of like flipped over. Right? Sort of? All right. But he's on...
I re-injured the knee.
Re-injured the knee. So he's using homeopathic arnica montana, which is very good for recovering from trauma. And he's I brought him some quality liniment, and he's on the mend. So actually, he will be doing probably a couple new readings this weekend, Saturday night or Sunday, most likely, or whenever he feels the energy or the desire to. This gentleman next to me right here, see this painting? This is a self-portrait of my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. The Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman is a fine watercolor artist, as well as he's now using gouache. Or is it gouache?
Gosh.
Gouache? Okay. He has one gouache painting. All right, now, you can see the William J. Eisenman collection by going to Google and typing in William J. Eisenman collection. It's on YouTube. Or you can go to now, here's something new. Now you can go to the Newsletter Censored Facebook promo page, which is available to the public. You do not have to have a Facebook membership or profile to see it. You do not have to log into Facebook. You just go to facebook.com/Newsletter Censored. And you can see the William J. Eisenman collection, the entire collection of just about every painting he ever did until he finishes with the new one. You can see it there in an album. If you see something you like, send the Reverend Dr. Bill an email and ask him if the painting is still available. If it's available, the bidding starts at $500 each. Make him a good offer, and you will get also a free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored, which is what I'm going to talk about now. This is the very backbone and foundation of our entire organization. This is the very best way to be a part of our organization, and the very best way to join our organization is to go to newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to what started it all, founded by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman in 1977. This is the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? Newsletter Censored. Discuss the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. It is very complete. You're not going to read anything like Newsletter Censored in the mainstream media or the press. You're not going to hear it or read it in the mainstream at all. Okay? Newsletter Censored will teach you how to survive the end times. Yes, we are living in the end times. It will teach you how to defeat a conservative. So, if you want to know about everything that the mainstream media is not telling you, concerning those 5 taboos of American life that I mentioned, and they're all here, including The God Project by William J. Eisenman, Doctor of Divinity, where the Reverend Dr. Bill teaches you what the Bible really has to say, not what right-wing conservative fundamentalists who are trying to rewrite the Bible think of what's in the Bible. What the Bible
to make it more conservative friendly.
To make it to justify their greed,
Yeah.
their greedy, power hungry agenda. The Republicans. That's why they're trying to rewrite the Bible, to push and justify their greedy, corporatist, power-hungry agenda. But the Reverend Dr. Bill will teach you what the Bible really has to say. And now, if you go online, you can type in Censored on Demand Archive Classics, and you can type in The God Project on Demand, and you will get all of his readings conveniently on a video playlist, and you can listen to them at your leisure. You can pause it. You can listen to it 1,000 times if you want. They're all there online, so you will never miss anything. So, like I said before, and then over here we have Sexuality, a Holistic Approach as an added bonus by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. Of course, the beginning is the political analysis. This one is called No Rules,
No orders.
No Orders,
No regulations.
No Regulations by William J. Eisenman, Ph.D. This is the brand new article that came out. It is volume 119, right?
Number 119.
119.
Yes.
The brand new Newsletter Censored, hot off the press, hot off the pancake griddle. Get it now.
Hot cross bun.
Go to newslettercensored.com. Click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored, Newsletter Censored, .com. Newsletter Censored is your guiding light into the 21st century and the end times. Okay, newslettercensored.com is what you need. Okay, this newsletter is what you need during these end times. You need Newsletter Censored, so get it. All right. Takes care of that. Okay, now let me make myself useful and remove his utensils and back. Okay. Back to the articles. I don't know. The last one you read was Polar Bears and Chris Christie.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The furor over pink slime, the colorful term used in the media for what meatpackers call lean, finely textured beef,
Yeah, sure.
reminds us once again that we don't always know what we're eating, and that the way our food is produced can be seriously unsettling. Pink slime producers assure us is a safe filler product made from beef trim that is treated with ammonium hydroxide to kill bacteria such as E. coli.
What about killing the people along with the bacteria?
Well, we are an experiment. We don't know that,
Oh, sure.
you know. But many consumers, including more than 220,000 who recently joined an online effort to ban the substance from the federal school lunch program, have been surprised to learn that the slime is in the ground beef we buy at our local supermarket. Many chains now have dropped the product, or order at McDonald's. Ditto. After all, we've been through such uproars before, and the government has assured us for more than 100 years that the meat we buy is safe. Meat trust in a pickle, the Washington Post announced in 1906. Indeed it was. Despite fierce pressure by the meat packing industry, Congress was about to sign into law the Meat Inspection Act and the Pure Food and Drug Act, both bold measures intended to protect consumers from adulterated food. The laws gave the federal government power to mandate compliance with meat inspections, which had been voluntary, and to require food and drug manufacturers to tell the truth about what ingredients were in their products. Rules about allowable ingredients would be set by the government. The legislation was enacted within 5 months of the publication of Upton Sinclair's scandalous novel, The Jungle, which Sinclair hoped would expose the meatpacking industry's exploitation of immigrant workers. Hey, today, he would be considered an eco-terrorist
What do you mean, like...
under the bill or executive order that Obama signed.
What do you mean? Who would be considered?
Upton Sinclair.
Why, because he has compassion?
Because he wanted to expose the meatpacking industry.
Well, he's protecting. You
can't do that today.
He's protecting the masses from.
You can't do that today.
So the people should. So the people. The government expects people to allow themselves to get poisoned.
Yes, they are allowed to let big business do what it wants.
Well,
That's the American way.
Well, we believe that corporate corporate leaders and corporate CEOs in America are demons. They're evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're evil. And we have a right to shoot our mouths off and say and call and expose the forces of evil.
But what caught the public's attention wasn't the workers' long hours, low pay, lack of adequate health care, nor the powerlessness of unions to bargain for decent wages, nor the tragedy of child labor. What horrified readers was Sinclair's nauseating depiction of meat processing.
People have to know.
Sinclair told of old, lame, diseased cattle still sent to slaughter. He told of potted chicken made from tripe, pork fat, and the waste from veal. Of rancid butter, rechurned and sold to market. Of meat that had fallen into filth, spit, and sawdust of the packing house floor.
I've seen a meat manager at ShopRite. Was it ShopRite or no? I think ShopRite and Pathmark. I think it was. Anyway, I've seen a meat manager give the order to take old ground beef that's turned brown and mix it in with fresh, pink-looking ground beef. So not only are Americans getting pink slime, up to 25%, but with ammonia in it, but they're also getting old ground beef mixed in with the fresh ground beef, all for the sake of profit for the business owner, you know, and the FDA don't care, right? Obviously, the USDA and the FDA.
No, because they're in the back pocket of you-know-who.
So these idiots that believe that, well, my medical doctor didn't say it, so I shouldn't do it if my medical doctor never told me to do it.
Officials!
And if our government didn't ban it, then it must be good. So they believe the powers that be.
The official verdict.
Yeah.
Anyway, this meat that fell into the spit and the sawdust and all this stuff on the packing house floor, only to be retrieved and packaged of rats and rat droppings, poisoned bread, spoiled meat mixed together in sausage hoppers.
Lovely. Yeah.
This was 1906.
If a rat fell into a meat grinding hopper, they would just say, "Oh well." I'm sure it happened for decades. You know, actually, Gary Knowles, one of Gary Knowles' latest videos, he interviews a poor family where the kids had to be fed rat because of the poor in America. The mother, single mother, had to, you know. I mean, it's really horrible. No American child in this country should be eating a rat, or an adult for that matter. Go ahead.
All processed meats, Sinclair reported, contain what was euphemistically called filler. There would come back from Europe old sausage that had been rejected and that was moldy and white. It would be dosed with borax and glycerin and dumped in the hoppers.
Lovely.
And made over again for human consumption. There were butt ends of smoked meat and the scraps of corned beef and all the odds and ends of the waste of the manufacturing plants, which was added to fresh meat and churned into breakfast sausage. To use parts of meat that couldn't be sold whole, the packers applied what Sinclair called the miracles of chemistry to make the result appear palatable. These processed meats were given innovative names like boneless hams, California hams, skinless hams, In modern-day supermarket aisles, they're known as deli ham and luncheon meat.
That's the worst. That's like spam, right? Spam is tasty, actually.
Spam might be better than that.
You know what?
Processed stuff. I don't know.
Spam actually has a nice flavor.
Spam is kind of processed too, you know.
Yeah, I hear Hawaiians love spam.
Hawaiians love it.
But it's good. It's like it's not as good as Taylor pork roll. I really love that. But no, spam is not bad. It's just well, one never knows once meat is ground up into a fine pate, does one?
No.
One never knows.
Readers of the Jungle were outraged. One of those readers was President Theodore Roosevelt. Soon after the novel was published, Roosevelt invited Sinclair to meet him in Washington.
Sure.
And he followed up by sending investigators to the packing plants.
Well, Republican Teddy Roosevelt also once said that, "Thank God I am not a free trader."
Yeah.
And he was Republican. He was one of the nice Republicans.
Yeah. Back then when a Republican actually cared about the Republic.
The Republic, yeah.
Yeah. When they confirmed Sinclair's findings, Roosevelt was convinced that reform was needed immediately. Sinclair was skeptical, though, that the new laws that resulted would really work. The Pure Food and Drug Act is good as far as it goes, but it's like plugging up a leak in a dam and making a devil of a fuss over it and letting a dozen other leaks go unnoticed, he said. A few months after its enactment, it will be forgotten, and former conditions will be resumed. He was partly right. The Food and Drug Administration, whose regulatory authority largely derives from the Act, has made significant progress in improving food standards since Sinclair's day. But it has been its power threatened in recent years by lobbying efforts and budget cuts. In the case of pink slime, the FDA says that it has done its homework and that the additive is completely safe. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack agrees. So do industry executives.
Mm-hmm.
Consumers, though, are almost as suspicious and worried as they were more than a century ago. And the meat industry, which has suffered a collapse in demand and had at least one bankruptcy result from the controversy, is back in a pickle.
Yeah, that was a pretty good article, Dr. Bill. Excellent.
Well,
article.
As far as I know now, they have to label it, but they don't label it pink slime, of course. They label it finely textured, beef.
Yeah, because they got caught.
Yeah.
How many years were they?
20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Americans have been ingesting 25% of pink slime in their ground beef, including your children in school cafeterias have been ingesting ammonia-laden pink slime, 25% of their hamburger meat, including yours, for 20 years.
Yep.
Before they got caught, and now they decide they have to label it.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, now do you still believe that your the USDA and the FDA has your best interest at heart?
No.
I should say not. Well, now, what was Gary Null talking about the other day about raw almonds? They're trying to...
He's going to do it tomorrow.
Was he mentioned...
There's some kind of problem going on.
With the almonds?
With almonds. Yeah, a lie has been told.
Well, my grandmother used to say almond.
Almonds.
Almond.
Yeah.
Almond. So a lie has been told about raw almonds?
Something. We will find out tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yep.
It's Thursday. Tomorrow I will listen. At the same time you will be listening.
Yeah.
We'll get to the bottom of this, because almonds and walnuts are part of the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman's famous nut and seed meal. It is an outstanding vegan, most of the time, vegan complete meal. It contains peanuts, raw sunflower seeds, sometimes raw pumpkin seeds, but mostly sunflower. It contains walnuts and almonds, both raw, and lecithin granules, or not anymore?
Almonds.
Peanuts.
Sunflower seeds. Walnuts. The big four.
Okay. Now, I wonder if raw quinoa or amaranth can be chewed.
Aha.
I wonder if they are chewable.
We don't know.
I don't know how hard they are, but I know that quinoa and amaranth are extremely high in nutrition. Is a jerk again. I like to cook. Hey,
do they have to be
I should
cooked?
go out there and bash him one.
Do they have to be cooked?
Should I go out there right now and work him over?
He has the right to go around.
He has the right to go around and interrupt our show?
Yeah.
Anyway, quinoa and amaranth are very teeny tiny little seeds.
Ooh.
Some say it's a grain, some say it's a seed, but they're very tiny. Like chia is also very tiny, but anyway, they're usually boiled like a porridge, like you would boil oatmeal or polenta or something. Mm-hmm. And I know quinoa has, I don't know, God, I think it was like more than 10 times the amount of calcium than dairy products. And the protein quality of amaranth and quinoa are equal to animal source protein, to meat. It has a very high amino acid profile. So anyway, what's your next article?
The United States will never be energy independent. Imagine the discovery of vast oil fields within our borders. When this oil is brought to the surface and ready for market, what market would it be offered to? To believe that the major oil companies would provide Americans with cheaper oil and gas is a fantasy. It's true that a large infusion of fresh supply would lower worldwide oil prices somewhat. But dutiful to shareholders, the companies would sell that oil at the highest price possible on the world oil market. Oil companies owe allegiance only to profit. They are true blue Americans when it's time to accept subsidies. But other than that, they will do what it is in their best interest, and that is to sell to the highest bidder.
Yeah, true.
Unlike, let's say, like Saudi Arabia.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Saudi Arabia sells its oil on the world market, but within its own country, the price is something like 39 or 42 cents a gallon.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's what people are expecting American oil companies to do over here if they find some oil in America. Ain't gonna happen.
No, it is not.
And just for your edification here, return this to me because this is very important. I need to put it in my file.
What are you giving it to me?
Just to look at.
Oh.
Because people tend to forget.
Let me see this.
They tend to forget. These are, just a moment, let me explain.
Well, if I show it to our viewers,
it's kind of small.
I would have to get. They won't be able to see that.
But the point is, since the recession,
unless you scan it and blow it up
in 2007,
yeah,
here are the jobs that were not created under G.W. Bush.
This might be worth showing.
Okay?
If you could see it, yeah.
If you could see it. These red ones here. All right? These are the green ones here.
Yeah.
Being created under Barack Obama.
And the red is the ones that were not created
Under George W. Well, you'll see them below the line.
under Bush.
The green ones are above the line. But people tend to forget that, the jobs were not there under G.W. Bush.
Okay. Says here, month by month changes in number of jobs since the beginning of the recession in December 2007. 400,000. Here we got March. I guess 120,000 jobs would be under the Obama administration, right?
Yes, but just look at the reds.
And then the red would be
2008, 2009.
a deficit of, it says here 818,000 jobs that were, these jobs that were lost or jobs that were promised to be created? Lost under GW Bush, as opposed. Well, there's a graph on the Stop the GOP, a greedy old party, that is very similar to this, that shows that the jobs created by Obama far surpasses what Bush ever did.
Well, that's my point entirely.
All right.
But people tend to forget this, I'm saying.
Too close?
Yeah, go close.
Closer?
Now down a little. Somewhere around there.
Like that?
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere.
It's not going to make sense of it. All
Yeah,
see
yeah.
is the
Anyway,
red.
you
All
see
see green is above the line. That means job production.
Right. So, Republicans that talk about job creation and how corporate America, the more you help corporate America, the more jobs are created. They fail to tell you that the jobs are not created in the United States. They're created in third world countries. I mentioned many times that I have interviewed people from these countries, and all the office jobs that were outsourced to the Philippines, well, guess what? I found out that all office jobs that are outsourced by the United States to the Philippine Islands, across the board, they all get paid $1 an hour with really no benefits. A whopping $1 an hour, even for customer service representatives. But I found out it's all office work across the board. $1 per hour, as compared to, let's say, the $11, $12, $13, $14 an hour and up that the same office workers and customer service representatives used to get in the United States. Now they're getting $1 an hour. And then you have the evil, greedy, despicable, demonic Foxconn in China, where the poor people are getting 31 cents an hour with no benefits, and they have to live in small little dormitories, and they have to work very long hours, and if they form a union, they get thrown in prison for 12 years. Oh yeah, I'm sure corporate America was behind the creation of these conditions in Foxconn. But then again, China is not known for having respect for human rights. Then again, right?
It's a totalitarian system.
Yeah, but the people, there are so many people, they're treated like ants or livestock. There's so many people. But this is the abuses that are going on. And I'm sure Republicans, like big fat ogre Chris Christie and Rush Limbaugh and Newt Gingrich and all these people, I'm sure they would love to enslave the masses. I'm sure they'll love it.
Hey, as long as it makes their iPad cheaper.
They don't care. They don't care. But and all these people out there that are so hateful towards immigrants, especially immigrants of color, and hateful, in general about people from the outside. But I'm sure they didn't want their people who came to this country in the early 1900s. I'm sure they did not want discrimination of their own people because they were Caucasian. But the ones that are trying to blame everything on people of color, well, guess what? Guess again. Blame the greedy corporate CEOs in America and other business owners. Blame the gringos that own the businesses in America.
It's anathema to blame business in America. Ooh.
Well, business.
It's like saying something bad about God.
Well, hey, fat cats, Republicans, politicians. Let's say the biggest windbag of all Republicans, Chris Christie. My message is this: would you like it, or would your kids like it? Would your children or yourself like it, or would your wife like it if you had to roll out of bed early every morning and work long hours at a dead-end job with no future and very little or no benefits and low wages? Just to pay the bills, just to make ends meet. Would you like that?
Some people have been doing that for years and years and years.
Would
so
they?
obviously,
Would they like it? The haves, the people, the fat cats.
No, they wouldn't like the cheap places.
Would they like to get up early and make a lousy $8.50 an hour or minimum wage?
They're different, don't you understand?
How are they different?
They are elites. They don't deserve that kind of life.
So, but Main Street,
do, yes.
we deserve it.
Yes.
Because why? Because we're not elites.
We can't pull ourselves up by the bootstraps.
Because we have no brakes. But they got brakes.
You know?
But they got brakes, right? They got the brakes.
I don't know. They're on top. They make the rules.
Right. But they got brakes.
He who has the gold makes the rules.
But they had connections. We ever hear of cronyism and being born in the right family? Having your daddy set everything up for you, like Donald Trump's son and daughter, Ivanka. You're born into it, right?
G.W. Bush.
G.W. Bush, silver spoon. So, where do the brakes come from with the little guy? How is the little guy going to pull himself up by the bootstraps without brakes?
It's not expected to. It's just a talking point. That's all it is.
So it's like a hypocrisy. You know,
upward mobility, as I've told you many, many times, in the United States, for 90% of Americans, is a fantasy.
Well, the American dream is for the fat cat. It's not for the masses. So it's like do as I say, not as I do. Well, the American dream, and we're not talking about dusty roads. The American dream is a fantasy that is only a reality for the upper 30% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Upper 30% of the population, or 1%. Yeah, 30%. That's all it is. That's the reality of it. But of course, you know, Americans will continue to be suckers and believe the Republican lies. Okay, what's the next article?
It was hard to miss the tangled mass of twigs and engulfing a transformer high atop a utility pole in Overpeck County Park on Fort Lee Road.
Does this have to do with the parrots? My psychic or what? All right, go ahead.
So when borough residents Wayne and Janine Norris passed by last weekend, they were shocked to see the massive nest was gone. As they looked closer, they found 2 broken eggs on the ground and realized that the colony of Quaker parrots, also called monk parakeets, excuse me.
Right, not to be confused with the Quaker oatmeal, the old man on the box with the big smile,
was frantically trying to rebuild its home. My husband and I love the parrots. To see all the birds flying around in a panic, it kills you.
Are these parrots indigenous to the tropics?
I would assume so, but they're here.
And they survived.
They survived here.
Interesting.
No one seems to know exactly how the exotic-looking birds came to New Jersey.
Maybe a male and a female escaped, didn't like their owner, decided, you know, my owner sucks. Let's get the hell out of here, and flew the coop and learn how to survive the winter and laid eggs, and now you have a flock of Quaker parrots up here in northeastern New Jersey,
where they've come to call Leonia, Edgewater, and Ridgefield home.
Yeah. What about Edgewater? Yeah. What about by the Hudson River? There's parrots there too. In the town of Edgewater. Yeah.
Yes, Edgewater.
In the Palisades.
Leonia, Edgewater, and Ridgefield.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Animals are amazing how they adapt when it comes to survival. It's incredible.
They continue to expand their colonies each year. One theory is that they escaped from a shipping crate at John F. Kennedy Airport in the 1960s.
Well, parrots are intelligent, so if a bird can escape, it'll be a parrot. Parrots are smart, and like I said, how they survive the cold is amazing.
They flew to Brooklyn
Brooklyn.
and eventually settled in Edgewater, which appears to have the largest population in New Jersey.
Well, there's nobody clipping their wings anymore.
Norris's husband, who often photographs the birds, which are bright green with blue-tipped wings, immediately thought someone had removed the nest as an act of animal cruelty. But it was actually a routine removal by Public Service Electric and Gas.
Those hooligans. I hate them.
In addition to removing 2 nests in the borough, the other was on Grand Avenue near Sylvan Park. PSE&G also took down about 30 nests on and near River Road in Edgewater last week.
Yeah, I hate that. The only people I despise Verizon even more.
We have to remove the nests each spring
The banks too. I hate them. Yeah.
to ensure the integrity of the electrical system,
Right.
spokeswoman Bonnie Shepard said. The nest can be as large as 4 feet long and a foot wide,
You know, that could cause a problem.
she said, adding that experienced employees carefully remove them with guidance and permits from the State Division of Fish and Wildlife.
All these bird lovers, the American Audubon Society or the Audubon Society of New Jersey should raise money and build some kind of birdhouse or some kind of a form of shelter,
Bird sanctuary.
elevated somewhere in the area that these Quaker parrots can call home. They should really do that. I mean, don't they have bird houses on top of skyscrapers for peregrine falcons in New York City, in Manhattan? You know, peregrine falcons which are endangered. And now we have a lot of hawks. I think there might be red-tailed hawks or Harris hawks. Or there's hawks in this area now too. They found out there were a lot of squirrels in our region, so they decided to nest over here.
Shepard and Leonia Councilman Gil Hawkins, an environmentalist and executive director of the Overpeck Park Preserve, said, "The birds, which do not migrate during the winter, build their nests on transformers because of the heat
Aha.
the equipment emits."
Aha. That's how they're surviving.
But Shepard said the nests can cause problems.
And if they, so now the parrots will go from transformer to transformer to transformer until they freeze to death in the winter, unfortunately. Or they're smart enough to start flying south, which I think birds will do.
Nests
Yeah.
often damage electrical equipment by engulfing the electrical devices, blocking ventilation, she said. Resulting trapped heat can cause devices to short circuit, leading to local power failures.
Yeah, well, if the birds can't find any transformers anymore and they feel it's a threat to their nest, when fall comes, I think they will fly south. I think they will start flying south and hopefully make it down to the Gulf Coast and to Florida, and you know, and eventually maybe the Caribbean and back home where they came from. You know,
Maybe.
birds are not stupid.
Maybe they will die.
Well, birds are smarter than you think, especially parrots.
Well, they don't do it now.
because
They have been forgotten.
because they found transformers. They found that there's a heat source from the transformers. What they eat around here is beyond me. I guess they eat whatever they would find in the tropics. You know, they're
I don't know, but the picture shows that they hang around with ducks over there.
the ducks get fed at the park, and the parrots eat whatever the ducks get fed, because the parrots are faster than
Moochers.
Huh?
Moochers.
They're moochers. They're faster than the. Well, look at the seagulls, and the terns. They hang around fast food restaurants up here.
Yeah.
All fast food restaurants here in the Northeast have
They like a double cheeseburger now and
a
then.
flock of seagulls that decided, hey, we were working hard for our meals when we were at the beach. Let's fly inland a bit and find a fast food restaurant and live there. And what they do is they wait for food to fall in the parking lot. Maybe French fries. It's not healthy food, but I think an animal likes the easy pickings, low energy expenditure process of finding food rather than what is nutritious. Like, they would rather not bust their ass, okay, and eat crap than to bust their ass looking for food that's healthy. So because the food is like, it's a steady supply. Like if you were feeding stray cats, or you're feeding wild birds, and you got a bird feeder out there, eventually the birds are going to say, hey everybody, let's hang out by Dr. Bill's place. We got a steady meal here. We're not. Why should we go around looking for our food when we got a steady meal? That's how you keep chickens by your house. I guess they bond with you because you're feeding them every day, and they like you. So, do we have one more article that's not terribly long, like maybe another political article?
A political article. Here we go.
You got one? Okay, shoot.
Santa Monica College officials said Wednesday that a police officer was forced to release pepper spray to maintain safety after a large crowd of students tried to force entry into a meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Oh.
The incident at Tuesday's meeting sent 3 people to the hospitals for treatment and saw 15 to 30 treated at the scene by fire department paramedics. No arrests were made. President Chu Lao El Sang said police officers exercised restraint, even though some students had acted unlawfully, including setting off fire alarms and attempting to disrupt the meeting. The incident began when about 100 students converged on the small meeting room to protest a plan by the school to offer some courses at a higher cost this summer. They were sprayed as they tried to surge through the door after requests to move the meeting to a larger venue were denied. The students were fuming over a college plan that would let students who couldn't get into required high-demand courses take them anyway if they paid hundreds of dollars more. Another benefit for the elite, shall we say? Huh? If you can afford it, you can have it. If you can't afford it, you ain't gonna get it.
The ancient problem of the haves versus the have-nots.
Critics say the plan will create a caste system favoring wealthy students.
There you go.
The state agency that oversees the state's community colleges called on the attorneys general to judge whether the plan was legal. The college has said the summer pilot program is an attempt to create new ways to fund some popular required classes in an era of declining state education aid. About 1,100 classes out of 7,430 have been slashed since 2008. As a result, students cannot get the courses they need to graduate.
Well, isn't that what Chris Christie's trying to do in New Jersey? Privatize education, so only the wealthy kids can get a good education.
The deserving kids, the wealthy.
Now, as more middle class are entering the poor ranks, there are more and more Americans that will never be able to afford college tuition, so you can forget about that. So now they want to eliminate public education, a free public education for the masses.
Well, that will allow the United States to become a third world country and therefore accept your 31 cents an hour.
They want to dumb down. They want to dumb down the masses.
Yeah.
So people will end up working like they do in Foxconn for 31 cents an hour, and eventually...
And they won't have such highfalutin ideas that they should have maybe $15, $30 an hour.
Or what about a living wage that keeps up with the cost of living, the high cost of living in the United States? Oh no. You'll have slave labor. Now, how on earth could a person pay their bills when the conservatives have arranged it so the average wage is like dirt cheap, down like peanuts, and the cost of living is way up here? How do people pay their bills and survive?
Well, obviously they don't want that.
If a studio apartment, not even a one bedroom, if a studio apartment right now goes for $700 or $800 a month in this part of New Jersey, and then you have utilities and your cell phone, whatever, and possibly cable and internet and groceries.
What about the 2.5 months rent up front?
Yeah, everybody wants 2.5 months rent for security that goes into a bank account for security, and then you got to put up that much money. So, but if people are losing their homes and they can't find a job because they got laid off, how do they afford to live? So it's like, I hate to say it, but Grandpa Al Lewis, the late Grandpa Al Lewis, was right about what needs to be done. It's
yeah, but it's a shame. Why do the asses of the masses have to get out in the street to get something done when the corporations just walk in with the money in their hand and hand it to the representatives, and guess what? They get what they want.
Yeah. Well, instead of going out with torches and pitchforks, what Americans need to do is, number one, Americans need to learn the power of boycotting. Stop buying the products of corporate America.
Boycotts work.
Stop buying the products of corporate America. And all the crap, toxic food that's sold in supermarkets, the nationally advertised brands. Stop buying them, and including everything that's involved in price gouging. Could be cars, whatever. Just boycott. Hit them where it hurts the most, in their wallets. They got to do that, and don't vote two-party system. Get to know and get behind an independent candidate, like maybe a Rocky Anderson. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I know Gary No mentions him. Get behind an independent, but and make sure he's progressive. But the first thing you gotta do is, like, by writing your congressman and senator. That might not work nowadays, right?
Not the ideological ones.
Now that will.
You're not going to change their mind.
No, that will fall on deaf ears. But boycotting is a pretty potent weapon against the elitists. Of course, you could protest, but I mean, is the U.S. media?
Yeah, but do you see where it gets you?
But the U.S.
It gets you known as an eco-terrorist today.
But the U.S. media has not only demonized the Occupy Wall Street protesters, not only are they demonized, but they don't get that much FaceTime anymore. You don't get them being interviewed. Do you see Dr. Garino being interviewed by any primetime news program?
No.
I have not seen once, probably the greatest progressive activist next to Michael Moore that we have today. I have not seen Dr. Gary Null being interviewed once on any primetime news program, including some of the progressive ones. What it would be, CNN, MSNBC?
Supposedly.
Right?
There's no such thing as progressives
So even the
on TV.
So even the
You know.
even the conservative Republican bashing cable stations, they are still kind of in bed with corporations.
And can only go as far as they will allow.
So they can't really hit you hard with the real truth, not totally.
No.
Like that's why you don't see Gary Null on any show, on any primetime show, because Gary will tell you like it is. He won't pull any punches. Gary Null, you know, and he's just he makes too many waves, right? Listen, thank you for joining us for this week's Progressive Discussions, and we'll see you next time. Say so long to these people.
So long, people. Take back your government.
Take back your government. Boycott corporate American products. Vote for a progressive independent. But boycott, 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 please.